Hi, my name is Marcus Ramirez, and this is my life. It's like, it's, it's kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it. I think a good place to start is how one was the first thing that I know now was the first time I've ever really gotten something from God in a way to where it's Him communicating with me, if that makes sense. I remember as a 7 year old having a dream of me casting out demons out of people. And it was actually in this, it's crazy. The spot that I'm literally sitting on is where, in my dream as a 7 year old, me casting out a demon out of a lady. I started off really hot, like, really, really, really hot for God, on fire. And I didn't know what that meant. I see it now, and I think back now that, man, I was going. Whenever my dad brought me and my brothers, literally I remember clear as day. My dad coming into my room, he had just talked to my brothers, and he asked me if we wanted to make a band. I don't think a lot of people know or realize this, but those moments in my life as an 8 year old, all the way up to when I was maybe what is it? How long until like 11 or 12? So I get through middle school, and everything that I'm getting busy with, all the things and all the ugly things, are starting to fade away. What what I was doing, if that makes sense. Because I remember feeling as a kid on the platforms and doing all these things, all the music and all these things. I remember feeling like, man, this is what I'm here for. Like, and then me having dreams of me in stadiums and doing all these things. Like, I knew in my heart that this is what I'm here for. I'm not here for any other thing but to serve God in front of everybody. But as a kid, I wasn't. I was the. I went from that kid that I was in tune to everything, to the kid that I'm in the back falling asleep, like, or on my phone. I'll say it like this: I was starting as the person that was in the front of the church, and slowly but surely I was making my way to the back, and eventually I was slowly but surely not coming anymore. Coming down to that big encounter that I had 4 years later, all the things that I ever encountered in my life, it was built up into like a huge pile of mess, and it created a lot of bondage and how people say I had a lot of chains in my life. And I'm trying to make it real simple. I had a lot of problems, and today, and people call it mental health issues. That's what they call it nowadays. But if you really know what the word says, that's called being demon oppressed, and that's what I was. I was demon oppressed. We're getting up to my senior year in high school. A lot of things happened in my life to where I wanted to take my own life, and I look back and I see a person that was broken. I see a person that was caught up in other people's mess, if that makes sense, while also in mine. And it was just beginning to be too much for me. I've always been so worried about other people and what they're doing, and to where it became a burden for myself. All these things happened in my life. It literally felt like my world was falling apart. Things were not going my way. I was in my room whenever I lived in Dili, there, my grandma's house there in Dili. I was literally crying and crying. And I remember I would cry so much to where my pillow was soaked. I was crying that much. I remember the day. I remember the day things were falling apart for me. I remember coming home and just crying, and my family, Vanessa and Brandon and my grandma and my grandpa. Oof, here it comes. Um, all these people trying to comfort me, and no fault to them, but it was not working, and it wasn't working. Like, everyone that was trying to help me, my friends, Mason, DJ, all these people that were there with me in those times, they tried to help, but nothing was going through. I was literally, and I know now because I know what God has revealed to me, is that I was demon oppressed. Demons had a hold on me. They had me. I was in the pit, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was a pit that I put myself in. In the moment, whenever I was crying in my room, I literally, I was so arrogant and so prideful on how good I was. But I was doing these things that were so bad in the eyes of God. I was so blinded, to where in my tears, I would literally cry out to God, why did you do this to me? I've done nothing wrong. That's what I was saying. I've done nothing wrong. That's pure arrogance. And in those moments, I remember all these things in my mind were coming about. It was the side of what I remember learning in Sunday school, that God is here to heal the brokenhearted. He's there for you in your times of trouble. I remember all these things. But then on the other side, it was the devil and demonic spirits telling me, like, dude, your life's over. Like, why are you even here? Like, go do all these, like, I was basically being told how to kill myself. Literally, that's what was going on in my mind. That fight in my mind. And all that week, I didn't eat. Rarely did I sleep. It was just tough. Very tough. All that week, I was asking God, where are you? I heard in church that you're there for people that are having bad times. Where are you right now? And I remember I would tell God, I can't hear you. Talk to me. I remember all those times with Joseph, with Moses, with Abraham, all those people in the Bible that literally heard your voice clear as day. Literally saw your hand. And I remember all these things, and I'm asking God, like, where is that for me? Like, I remember all these questions, like God, I can't hear you. Where are you? All that week. And so the plan was that Sunday, which was August 26, 2016, that Sunday, if nothing was going to happen that Sunday, if it was just a regular day, nothing much happening, then that next Monday, that was going to be the day that was it for me. I come to church and I think about it. I've been thinking about it these past couple of days. The message that my grandma preached on, I really don't remember it at all. Like, it probably had nothing to do with what I was going through. And she didn't know what I was going through. All my family here in Catula, they didn't know what happened. Like, they didn't know. And I come, my grandma does an altar call, and I come to the same spot that I've always gone to. During those times, I would always be in the back, which is right over there. Something, that altar call and me walking up to the same spot I always went to, something about that moment was different from any other. I remember my grandma standing right behind where I'm at, right behind me, right here. And she was saying, lift up your hands, close your eyes, and just give it to him. She didn't know what was happening. I remember closing my eyes, lifting up my hands, and it felt like my heart was ready for something. These are things I've never said before. It literally felt like my heart was a landing strip for something to land on it. Does that make sense? Like an airport. You know how a plane lands on the landing strip? it felt like my heart became a landing strip for something, and I didn't know what it was. And when I closed my eyes, and remember, days before this, I was crying to God, asking Him, "Where are you? I can't hear you. Are you gonna talk to me? I can't hear you." Like, that's one of the things I said the most. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I remember in that moment, I closed my eyes. I raised my hands, and it felt like my heart opened up, and all this weight, and all this stuff that was in my heart, and I felt it, I know the feeling, but I can't put words to it. It literally felt like, it's kind of like whenever, for those that lift weights, you having that squat, that heavy weight, and once you rack it up, you feel that weight lifted off. I literally felt this, and in that moment, and I was telling little Rudy earlier, I couldn't tell if it was with my ears, like coming as if you're talking to me right now, like hearing like that, or something that was in here. It was so real and so crystal clear as water. I hear a voice and it says, "Can you hear me now?" Right after all that just heaviness just left, a voice says, "Can you hear me now?" And I just start crying. Worse than before. Worse than that week before. I was just crying, like so many tears. The people that were there, and the people, like, they could tell you that they've never seen Marcus cry in church, especially like that. And I'm crying, and literally I feel like something is being poured onto me. And I know today that it was the love of God that was being poured out on me. And it felt like, I don't know, it just felt like a swirl of something was happening around me. And I remember coming to the altar, which are the stairs right here. I get on my knees and I'm crying. And I remember as I was walking up, people were like, like they were like, "Whoa, what's happening here?" And I'm crying. And there's a lot of details that I want to give right here, so I'm going to try my best not to forget them. One thing was, in that moment, all the things that I knew, that a couple days later, even the day before, even that morning, as I woke up from bed, the things that I felt that I wasn't wrong for, literally I was being shown that what you did here was wrong. This what you did right here was wrong. This what you said right here was wrong. All these things were being shown to me all throughout my life. It was just like a flickering of pictures and moments in my life that I was being shown that this is where you're wrong. And all I can say in that moment, a lot of us say that, whenever I experience God, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. But in that moment, I was experiencing God like never in my life before. And all I could say to Him was, I'm sorry. That's all I said. Because I was seeing the love of God. I was seeing it. And what do I mean by that? I was seeing how good He was, and still is, of course. But I was seeing how good He was and how wrong I was because of that. Because whenever you see a person that's so right, that's so perfect, that light that He carries in His perfection, in His glory, shines on the darkness and all the blemishes and all the dirt that you have in your life. And a lot of people have these moments. They have these moments to where God shows them that you're wrong. He doesn't do it to shame you. He doesn't do it to condemn you. But the Holy Spirit is here to convict us, to cleanse us. Does that make sense? So I was being shown these things. And instead of like, the preacher's judging me. Although my grandma didn't say a word. I could have said that, oh, you're just judging me. That's what a lot of people say. When they feel conviction, they say, oh, you're just judging me. No. In that moment, I was being shown that I was wrong. And I had a decision. Am I going to say stuff like that? Like, oh, what am I? That feels ugly. Or am I going to say, I see that I'm wrong. And I see that you're right. I'm sorry. True repentance happened in that moment. Literally in my heart, in my mind, the things that I knew were wrong, I never wanted to do them again. And another detail I wanted to give, and I've never really shared it before. In that time of crying, I would go like this. I would go like this. Just rubbing my eyes because of all the tears that I'm not, like, you know. I remember rubbing my eyes and going like this with my hands and feeling that there's something in my hands. Like that. And now I think about it, it felt like dirt. Like, of course, as a kid, you know what dirt feels like in your hands. But it felt like this dirt, and I didn't notice at the time. I didn't even look at my hand because I didn't even think about it. But I know now that it was dirt because I think of back with Paul, the apostle, who was, of course, Saul. And whenever, you know, the scales fell off his eyes and all that. So I had that moment that something was coming out of my eyes. And I know it was something like that because the moment I walked out of the church, everything outside was so shiny that my eyes could not adjust to it, if that makes sense. Literally, my eyes I couldn't even squint. It was like, I was like, whoa. The grass was greener. The cars were like so shiny. I didn't understand. Like it was just so weird. But I remember that night, I'm walking from my grandma's to my mom's house, or, you know, my parents' house. And I remember looking up at the sky, and this is how I knew something was happening. I looked up at the sky, and I literally felt this tug in my heart that God wanted to do something with me. That what I experienced wasn't just for me to experience and just keep it to myself. It was something that He wanted me to talk about forever, because that's what He did for me. And I remember looking up at the moon, and I knew I was seeing things way differently than before. And I remember telling Him, as I felt that tug, that He wants something. He's longing for me to do something for Him. I remember me looking up and telling Him, God, here I am.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you are blessed by it. Make sure to share it with your friends and family. Thank you again.